Manchester United are officially safe. Ipswich lose to Newcastle and can't get relegated, even though we lost. Can't get relegated. League is done as far as I'm concerned. It's absolutely a shit show. United in 14th. Worst season in Premier League era, no matter how you cut it. How are we feeling?
Not feeling great. Not feeling great. Thankful for the American Red Devils that we have the Europa League to even contend with in the first place. Because could you imagine if we had this without any hope of any chance of turning the season around? At the same time, even if we don't win the Europa League, just the fact that we're going to a semifinals, the fact that we enjoy that quarterfinal, but now not having the Europa League, also not worrying about getting relegated. You know, these last 5 weeks, we can play some kids. We can see where we're at. We know we're not good. We know we can't score goals, but maybe there's some other talent waiting in the wings that we can break on through. But it's one less thing to worry about in the final lead up to the end of the season. Because luckily for us, Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton are just famously bad promoted teams this season.
Yeah, looking at bad EPL seasons, it's no shock that they have come recently. We had the 21-22, Ole Rangnick, 58 points. Finished in 6th, so we did qualify for Europa League. West Ham and David Moyes did bottle it on the last day of the season. Even though we lost the game at Crystal Palace playing for European football, we actually lost. Had a horrible game to end a horrible season, which we thought was a horrible season until we got to this year.
And we went to, by the way, too. That was a fun game.
And obviously, the Scouts Bastards lost the title on the last day, which was good. And then last year, we had the worst placement, 8th in the Premier League era, but we had 60 points, so we actually did beat the points total. We won 18, drew 6, lost 14th, -1 goal difference. I was mad at that. And then you look at this year, -8 goal difference. We've won 10, drawn 8, lost 15. We're going to finish on the lowest points total. That's already confirmed by the math. And we're going to finish in the lowest placement. This is on the back of finishing 8th with 60, negative goal difference. Now we're going to finish 14th, 15th. In the 40s, mid 40s, and probably more negative goal difference. We are heading in the wrong direction. We have fired a manager. We've hired another manager. He has not done well in the league. We haven't really seen that sort of dead cat bounce. Next year, probably going to be a tall order to really turn this around. United are probably going to be hanging out around mid-table for a bit.
I think we'd be happy to be in mid-table based on how the things are looking right now. And depending on the quality of teams coming up, how teams continue to strengthen next season, what happens with City? Are they going to get relegated? Does that free up a spot? A lot of things to contend with, but like United, this is where I fear if we don't have that extra money from Europe, extra money from all the tickets and all the match day stuff from getting to the final of the Europa League, how are we going to have the money to reinforce this squad? How are we going to give Ruben Amorim a fighting chance the next season? Because if you're dealing with this again, with a couple additions because you have limited funds, remember, we got to spend some money on Erik ten Hag under INEOS because we made it to the Europa League because we won the FA Cup. If we do not do that, we will not have to spend $200 million. And this coach needs at least $200 million in his first summer. So that's what gives me the most concern. Because United fans, can they deal with 10th place and being cool with it? Because I'm ready for that, but I think it's going to be a hard pill to swallow for some folks.
So who takes the blame? INEOS came in. They've made a lot of decisions so far. I can't really get behind a lot of positive ones, unfortunately. I would say the biggest decision they had was keeping or not keeping Erik ten Hag. I think they kept him. That was the wrong call. I think they backed him way too much. I think that was the wrong call. I think the way they went about it last summer was the wrong call. They had to be ruthless and sack him after the FA Cup final. That was like my gut. It was like that was actually a good way to say goodbye to a manager. And INEOS kind of bottled it. And then you get into this Amorim situation where he's a manager coming in who plays a different system where we don't have players and we don't have the money to acquire those players. They fired Dan Ashworth as well. Like, I'm looking for like some good nuggets in there. Not really seeing too much of them other than maybe getting Heaven and Cheeto off Arsenal for cheap. But right now, INEOS kind of making some bad calls. And I think we're probably down here as a result of those.
I mean, I think other than the recruitment, which I think has gotten better, I would like the hodgepodge with the coach, like, because not only just keeping Erik ten Hag in and then firing him after spending $200 million and then bringing in a manager who has a very particular set of a very particular formation and style that he wants to play that demands a certain type of player, especially in the EPL. That's so freaking hard as is. Also, they fired Dan Ashworth. That's probably one of the biggest errors they made, even more so than Eric Ten Hag, because he's supposed to be the guy above Eric Ten Hag. He's supposed to be the guy that's like superseding everything, Wizard of Oz figure, pulling all the strings, and they're like, "Nah, you're out. you're fucking gone." They're all over the place. They're all over the place, and they are literally burning the boat. It feels like burning the boats. Like, we got nothing to lose. I feel like Jim has a certain window of time to operate in before he, like, either the Glazers step in or they got to sell to a sovereign. But they are playing like that. They're playing like the house is burning down because they're like, all right, fuck it, we got this like must-win now manager.
I think they're making it worse.
They are making it worse.
I ultimately think
jerky.
that they like, and I said it. If you go back and listen to our podcast last year. Just fire him, because then you get a new coach in. It's your guy, right? Because like nobody's gonna blame you for Ten Hag. You get your guy, and then you get air to breathe. Because if a new manager comes in, you can't expect him to do like amazing right off the rip, right? And then all the money would have gone to the new system. Yeah, let Ashworth hire him, do his thing. I felt like
we would have been better, by the way, because he would have had a summer.
Exactly, like any manager you bring in the summer, like even if we're say 11th now. Right, you'd have to think the signings would have gone to the new manager system. We would be better than we are now. Then, like changing system mid-season with a new coach, like that is bad, not a good idea. You should not do it. We did it, right? So it'd be even better to have like Ruven Nistelrooy or Southgate as a system coach until hiring Amorim in the summer. Maybe that would probably even do better from an optics perspective, or just having stability. But right now, we are headed down that table. How are you feeling about the season? You let us know. Who is to blame? Why is United having one of the worst seasons ever? Is it the worst season ever if we win Europa League? Maybe not. Please like, subscribe, and comment below, and we'll see you in the next Manchester United video.